Alright, so now I'm here to give you my review of Breaking Bad. This episode is Season 3, Episode 12, and it is called Half Measures. Um, and it came out on June 6, 2010. And it starts out by showing this awful, like, music video, I guess, because technically, for Wendy, and if you don't remember who Wendy is, it's like the girl that Jesse was like with at the start of this season. It was just so bad though, because this chick they were trying to hype up is really hot, but she is just so ugly. Like I, and we find out that she's had sex before. I'm assuming she's had it when she looked like 10 times hotter, because I'm assuming she looked hot before she got hooked on drugs. And for all the women out there, if you don't want to lose all your looks, don't do drugs. She just looks so ugly. The reason they show this though is we find out that Wendy gives the dealers that the money for well, she gives them burgers so she can get like a discount on the meth that they sell. And we find out Jesse's watching this, so the reason they show this is because they want to use it for something later on, and we're gonna find out about that later on. So then it cuts to the theme song, and we see Walter's driving with Walter Jr. And Walter Jr. Is practicing for his test. And he wants to use Walter's car for it, so it's gonna all happen on Saturday morning. This was kind of a nothing scene. It was just he does bring up the fact though that when they went out driving before, and Walter Jr. was using his feet really weirdly on the brakes and on the gas and the brake and all that. They do bring that up. And then at home we see Skylar's looking up what money laundering is. She knows what it is. She probably wants to know a little bit more about it. And what's gonna happen? I like how she's looking it up on Wikipedia, because that's not the most reliable site to be using. And I just love that she's using Wikipedia to look it up. I just thought it was kind of funny. So then they get home, and Skylar wants to do this. He wants Walter to reconsider letting her be her Danny, and Walter still doesn't agree because he wants her to be out of this. And says that it wouldn't, if he got caught, it wouldn't look good on her, because then she would be getting arrested, and he wants her to be completely clueless and deny it. But Skylar says, well, it's not going to look good if I find out my husband's been working and is getting like more money than he should be, and I'm just denying it. I'd rather be thought of as somebody else than as completely clueless. So, Skylar says the reason you could be doing this is to help be back with the family again, help win over your wife so you can be with the family. So then Walter eventually agrees. The only way that it's going to happen, though, is if Walter can stay for dinner 4 nights a week, and he gets the key to the house so he can babysit his daughter and his son. And I thought that was good stuff. Then Jesse talks to Walter, and he tells him about these dealers, and he wants and about how they were behind the killing of Combo, and he wants to take revenge. He wants to kill these kids. And Walter says, why do you need my help? He's going to use the beans that they were going to use to kill Tuco. And the way it's going to happen is they're going to plant him. Since Wendy's giving him cheeseburgers, he's going to plant him in there, and no one will know because it can't be traced back to them. But Walter doesn't want to do this because Jesse isn't a murderer, and he says that Jesse could have just taken action from it months ago, and he says that this was just a turf battle, this was nothing. And he says that this is part of all your drug meetings that you go to. You're not supposed to be doing these kind of things. You're not supposed to take revenge by killing. And he tells Jesse that Walter and him are not a murderer. These guys haven't tried to murder us, because in Tuco's case, he was trying to murder us. But Jesse doesn't agree. He's still going to go ahead and do it. So then, I'm just going to kind of mention this now. Walter goes to Saul about this. And the way he's going to do this is he's going to have, I think, Jesse arrested. So that way, he can't, just until things cool down. He's going to have him arrested just until things cool down. Funny thing about it is we thought Jesse was coming, so you saw Saul was playing solitaire on his laptop. I thought that was pretty funny stuff. So then eventually, Jesse tells Wendy about it, because also the reason why Jesse isn't happy about it is because they're manipulating kids, and it's easy to manipulate them because kids really don't have any consequences if this happens. They just get sent to juvie, and they think that what they're doing is right. So I thought that was cool. So then Jesse is telling Wendy about this and says, if you knew and Wendy doesn't really want to do this because she doesn't want to murder them. She's afraid that she could get caught. But what Jesse tells him that you can't get caught, and just think of it like you're doing it every day, delivering burgers. Also he says, think of it like, what else does he say? He also says, that if this was, because we find out she has a kid, like I said, she has a kid, and he says, if this was your kid, wouldn't you want to do anything for him? And she's like, I've done everything for my son. Well, it's a kid. We don't necessarily know whether or not it's a boy or girl. So then, Walter's with, Holly. I couldn't remember her name. And Mike comes over and tells him that this thing can't work out because, Gus won't be happy with it if, we got Jesse arrested. Because then he would want to take revenge on us, and all this contract then wouldn't really work out. So then he says, he tells him about the story about how he would have to go all the way with it because he was part of a domestic violence police community where he would arrest people that would hit men that would hit women. And he talked about how he arrested this guy, and he just had a funny feeling about him because the guy was sitting Danny Boy, and he took him and hold the gun to his face and had him in his fetal position, and he was pissing himself and swearing not to hurt his wife ever again. So then he let go and gave him a warning, and eventually the guy ended up killing his wife with a blender. So then so then he says that he would have to go all the way with this thing. Now there's going to be more that happens with this, but first I want to talk about this. Hank still doesn't want to leave the hospital because he doesn't feel like he's well enough to leave. And Walter Jr. actually says something pretty neat because he talks about how he can't even walk. Walter Jr. says, well, I'm in crutches. Shouldn't I technically be in here? And he's like, yeah, you prick. I thought that was kind of funny. So Marie and Hank have a bet that if Marie can make Hank get a boner, he would leave. So then if it ends up happening. I thought that was kind of cool. That was really all they really did with this. I thought it was pretty cool stuff. So then Jesse and Wendy are waiting for these guys, but all they see is what's his name? I know his name. I just need to get Tomas. I knew how to say. Yeah, he just riding around in his bike. And then Mike and Victor, I think that's his name, come up, and they bring Jesse to Gus, and we see Gus, Walter, and the two dealers are there, and Jesse and Gus says, we understand, we have your problem, and this isn't going to go any further. We understand that you guys are both at fault here, them for murdering their men, and Jesse's at fault for, oh, my Facebook's going off. Jesse's at fault for wanting to kill him. So he says that it's going to be settled right now. So Gus has the two dealers leave, And Gus tells him that if he didn't have respect for Walter, he would be handling this in a different way because he doesn't like the way that he has a problem with his employees. So he tells him that when the dealers come back, he's going to shake hands and they're going to make peace. But Jesse doesn't want to because of the way they've been treating the children, how they manipulate them. So then Gus tells him to bring him back to have, and Gus tells him that they can't use children anymore in their game. And Jesse says, and he tells Jesse that he's going to keep the peace. So then Jesse agrees, and then they shake hands. It didn't really look like Jesse wanted to shake their hands. So then Walter and Jesse leave, and Walter and Jesse are driving to Jesse's car, and Walter tells Jesse that you have to do it with compromise because your actions weren't the answer. But then Jesse just leaves, and then he like speeds off in his car. I thought it was pretty cool stuff. So then Jesse is with Andrea, and Andrea gets a call and finds out that Tomas was killed. And I think you can see how he got killed, but it shows the whole scene about the ambulance picking him up and his bike's all down and everything. And the next day, Jesse doesn't go to work with Walter at all. He doesn't show up, and he was like 42 minutes late. So then he tries to call him later on again in the bathroom, and he still doesn't answer. So then the TV's on, and the news comes on. And then the story about Tomas's death is on, and Walter finds out about it. So then Walter goes to eat, and Skylar does mention, too, that they're going to have a car washing business together, her and Walter, so I want to make sure that I mention that. But then Walter is just leaves for obvious reasons, and Jesse gets high up on drugs. And he sees the two dealers, and he's about to kill them. He has a gun, but the other two guys have a gun, so it's really uneven. No matter who Jesse kills, he's going to die. So he's just about to pull out his gun, and then Walter comes up with and hits and runs him over with his car, and then shoots one of them. And Walter tells Jesse to run, and then that's how the episode ended. And to be honest with you, I thought this was a damn good episode. I liked the whole story with Jesse and the drug dealers. And that was really the whole story with this episode. There was really nothing happening in this episode other than that. You had the whole thing with Hank and him finally going home, which is going to be a big episode when it happens. But there really wasn't anything big that was the only really big thing that happened. I really liked this episode. So that's my thoughts. I'm going to come back and do one more review of an episode. It's probably not going to get uploaded till midnight. But that's pretty much it, guys. Subscribe to this video if you haven't, and check out all the other Breaking Bad videos on this channel on the playlist.